How close are you willing to get?
That's not a bad range. So if you start to be circled by bees and they're just kind of warning you off, just start walking back towards the visitor area. Yep, they. So I did give them a little bit of preliminary smoke. So they've been letting the smoke filter through the hive. All right, so the first thing, you see these little bugs? Those are small hive beetles. And we want to kill as many of those as we can.
What are they after?
They will eat, I don't know if it's the brood or the honey, but they do like to, they'll make a mess of the comb. And so the bees try to chase them away. That's why they're mostly in here or up here, because they can't, the bees don't like to let them go down in the comb area very much. So right here,
are these victim of wrong place, wrong time? When the lid was closed?
Yeah. So down here, you can see a bee fighting with a small hive beetle. Right there, see that? It's trying to sting that small hive beetle. So right now we're just killing some small hive beetles. Take a look over that way and smile.
I have a flow hive. Thank you.
All right. So one of the things I'm going to do, some beekeepers have reported that they've had really good luck keeping hive beetles away using peppermint candies. And since I have mint in my garden, I have decided to test whether spearmint will help reduce the hive beetle problem. All right, so now we're going to, this is called the divider board.
Why do you have half empty, half this?
As I add frames, we'll expand the hive. This keeps them.
You don't want to just fill it whole thing up with empty ones?
No, because they need to have enough population to be able to defend the space from things like the small hive beetles and another pest called wax moths.
I saw that someone said they have like some.
So I can see already. I do see. I brought those 2 extra frames there, and I am going to have to add those because you may want to come around to the other side. You'll have a really beautiful view. What?
Did you turn your phone camera on?
I think I did. Let's find out. Did I turn it on? Yes, I did. Oh, phooey. The magnet on this tripod is so strong that several times it pulls the things off of my phone case.
Did we drop it from there?
No, it's good. I got it. So I just wanted to show how big these.
Ooh.
So that last.
How do they make them so perfect?
It's just amazing.
They are so.
To me, they are one of the perfect examples of why there has to be a God. I just cannot imagine, because all of these behaviors are encoded. You know, they can't be learned behaviors.
Right.
They're programmed.
Yeah.
And so if you have a programmer, if you have a program, you have to have a programmer. All right, so that's how much they. I added that frame, I think, just a week ago, and it was empty.
And those.
What are they doing right now on it?
They've done.
Yeah. They are sometimes they're adding wax to make it deeper, or they're inserting pollen, or I'm sorry, not pollen, nectar. You can see nectar if you look at the glistening in some of those cells. You see the glint of reflection off of liquid. Here, we'll pull that out. Let me put the camera back. We'll pull that out and give you a closer look. Phooey. I may need to let somebody hold the camera. Thank you.
Is it running?
Yeah. As long as you see that stop button, it's still running. So you can just come in here and again. This is one variation of a hive tool. There's a small hive beetle, dead small hive beetle. So we just use this. The bees tend to glue these frames together, and so that helps us to separate them. And once I've got room to get a finger on each side, I can lift this up. Now you can see this comb is very soft. Now you can see the nectar in those, right?
Oh yeah.
Oh, cool.
So when it dries, that's going to be the honey. And these are kind of floppy, so I want to be real careful how I handle a comb.
And they use the honey to eat,
What?
and they use it for nourishment, and they use it to make the actually build the white part, the hive.
Well, they consume the nectar or honey, and then they've got a special gland that excretes the wax. But in order to build the wax, that means they have to consume a whole lot of nectar instead of storing it. Which right now we've got plenty of nectar in the environment for them. Let's give them, just to keep them nice and calm, let's just waft some smoke over. Sometimes a little amount of smoke is just right. Too much makes them agitated. Now this one, they've been at it longer.
Ooh, wow. So cool.
So here they've crossed the dowel and they're attaching the comb to the dowel.
Wow. Wow.
And these little dark spots, that's pollen. The clear liquid is nectar, the dark spots are pollen.
You said the clear dots are what? Clear.
The clear liquid is
Okay.
nectar and the dark spots are pollen.
So there's one bee right over here on the side that his wings are bigger, and he's going down. You see him? Right there. Right there.
Oh, that's a drone.
Okay.
Yeah. So this bigger bee that's also darker right there,
Yeah.
that's a drone.
Are stupid.
I'm seeing lots of hive beetles, but we've got good population. Fight 'em
Hive beetles.
Huh?
Hive beetles.
Hive beetles. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
They're about the shape of a
Here's one.
ladybug, but they're black and smaller. Boy, they're being very, very calm so far.
Thank you.
Yes. Okay, we get your first look at brood on this frame.
Ooh.
So up here, this is nectar and it's almost honey. It's going to be thickening and darkening, and eventually they'll put a wax cap over the top of it. This is capped, but this is capped brood. So those are baby bees under those.
How do you know that?
Because of the appearance of the way that looks.
And it looks different when they're capping honey versus capping the brood.
Yeah, and we'll be able to show you some capped honey in a minute.
So is that the comb that they
made?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And this up here, here's capped honey.
Okay. The white.
See the white wax caps are for honey, and the kind of a yellower cap is for the
Babies.
babies. Now you might have seen that I had a bee on my glove.
Mm-hmm.
It was not attempting to sting me. It was just checking me out. They're just being so calm. They're good bees.
PCG
so
bees.
if you come, here's a small hive beetle. Actually, that's a big small hive beetle.
PCG.
Small hive beetle being a relative term, I suppose.
I love all the tools
Yeah.
that go with beekeeping.
All right. So I keep track of the frames. This would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that last one was 6. The middle one was 7, and the first one we looked at was 8.
How do you know that it's at a point where you need to add another one?
When they have most of these 2 frames built out, and they have, then I'll add 2 more.
Oh, that's
So
why you brought those.
That's
over
why I
there?
brought these over here. Was just
Just in
to be
case.
sure. Because if they fill that up, and let's say something goes on next week and the next week, and I can't get out here, then they could easily run out of room. And if they run out of room, they're going to swarm.
And try to find a new home.
Try to find a new
Yeah.
home. And I don't want them to swarm for 2 reasons. Number one, if half my bees go away, they're making less honey for me. And also, they're trying to move in somewhere, and I don't want them to move into somebody's house. All right, so this would be frame 5. And this is entirely brood. Now,
Oh.
except you see a few places where there's a gap in the brood, but it's filled with honey. So this is what we call backfilling the brood chamber.
And why do
then,
they do that?
Because they're growing so fast. Now, if you look down here, you see these little bitty larvae that almost look like maggots.
Yeah.
Those are baby bees.
Oh my goodness. Oh.
Can you turn it this way and let me?
Debbie, you're not wearing anything.
No, shh.
See, they're calm. They're being very good bees today.
They don't feel like you're disturbing them, and they're
Nope.
just still working away.
They're still
they're
working
not,
away.
They don't seem to care that you're moving it around. And
That's right. Their attention is on their task.
where's the queen at?
Well, she could have been on either of these last 2 frames.
And is she marked?
She is marked. She should have a red mark. The last time I spotted her, I went through all of the frames and didn't see her, and then I spotted her on the wall. And that was just last week. So I know she's... But the other thing is, as a beekeeper, the impulse is to always want to find your queen, and I always want to. But it's...
What if she were to fly out while you had it open?
It's very unlikely. Once she's been
not her
laying
job.
for a while, she's so engorged with eggs that it's hard for her to fly. So before a colony swarms, they actually will put the queen on a diet for a good period of time. I missed it.
What a post was
Missed it again. All right, it's out of the hive though.
What?
the
That
thing
was a
that you-
beetle, one of those beetles.
Oh, the beetle.
It was a small hive beetle.
And there's another one on the lid.
Yeah, this is if anybody wants to see it. That's a small hive beetle.
Anybody want to see a small hive beetle?
Oh, sorry, I didn't
No,
let it last
never
long
mind.
enough.
Nah.
There's a
Those are
smashed
ones
one.
that,
If you want to see a smashed
There's another one running on a wall down here, being chased by a bee.
I don't know. She was asking if you put oil.
So, when we tried to keep our last colony open, we had a little thing that we
A trap,
put,
yeah, an oil
with
trap.
oil. Did that actually work?
They work. There are some downsides. Sometimes they can spill, and if they spill onto a bee, it can cause problems for the bee to
There's
fly.
another one on the top.
Oh, there's
Yeah, there's a lot of them.
Yeah.
When I
one
get down here
acting
to
mad.
yeah,
Yeah, we don't want them mad.
all right. Now this one is heavy.
When bees buzz, what does that mean?
Nothing. I mean, it can't. It means it's a measure of how much activity of their wings. So it might mean that they're flying faster. It can mean that they're agitated about something. So this is another one where we see lots of brood, but in between the brood is lots of nectar, which tells us that they've got nectar coming in faster than they know where to put it. And that's another reason that I have to add frames. Because this will be frustrating for the queen if she comes back here. There's still some empty space to lay at the bottom, but that's a concerning mark for the direction. Oh, now this is also interesting. They're doing something up here. They may be making...
Look at them.
Yeah, they're building a wax structure there, and that may very well be a queen cell. So they may be making plans to swarm. Which tells me that I can use this hive. This hive is now strong enough that I can use them for another round of queen rearing.
Did you see him chasing that? And what would they do? Bite it? Oh,
She's trying to sting it.
Yeah.
But they've got a hard shell, so it makes it tough.
You got to turn it
really
over.
Tough for them to kill the
Yeah.
hive beetle. So what they'll do is they'll chase them into a corner and surround them with propolis. They'll put them in jail. And then the strangest thing is, the hive beetles will reach out with their antenna to the antenna of passing bees, and that is their way of asking to be fed. So they feed their prisoners.
Oh my gosh.
They're so kind. Wow.
This side has
So look, that's doing another one of that.
Now this is probably just, we call that burr comb, and that's also a factor of lack of space. They just have a little bit of room that they could make some extra comb on the side. It can't be very big because of the other frame,
Look how dark
but they'll
those
do
are.
that, and usually we'll try to scrape that off and discard it. So what were you saying about this side?
Dark.
Yeah.
Darker.
Yeah,
Does that mean those babies are more advanced?
it means that these, yeah, it probably does. They're probably a little older. And the fact that the comb is darker here can mean a couple of things. Sometimes comb will darken because it's been used for multiple generations of brood, and that also makes it thicker and harder. Oh, here's one with a nice load of pollen. See the pollen on the wings there?
Oh, yeah.
This one down here by my thumb. Capped honey up here, brood down here, nectar interspersed throughout. I haven't seen the queen, but I haven't been looking all that hard.
Yeah.
All right, so these, it's often the case that the last couple of frames are where they are a little more aggressive. And it could be because they're more of the brood is right there, or it could be because more of the guard bees are staying closer to the entrance. I'm just going to give them a little
Where's
extra.
the entrance?
On the
entrance
back
is
side,
right
down
there
at the
in
bottom. One of those back here, back.
Oh.
And Scott was telling me one other time that if another bee, not from this hive, tried to get in there, they would just surround it, attack it,
Yep.
kill it.
They wouldn't take it a prisoner?
No.
No. Out, damn spot.
Lots of brood there.
Wow.
Now, because they're getting a little more agitated, I'm going to stop here because there's no need for me really to see the queen. If I start to raise new queens, I'll have to find the queen. But because we've got more activity here and I don't want anybody getting stung if I can help it, I'm going to go ahead and start to close it up.
So what's the next progression?
Of what?
Okay, so you're continuing to add things. By the time, I mean, is there a time where then the oldest one, what do you do with it
So,
when you're trying to
On these frames at
harvest?
the end, you'll notice that there was no brood there. They were only storing honey out there. So they're going to continue to add new frames and continue to add honey to the existing frames. And as we get closer to as more of it gets dried out enough, they'll start to cap all of those frames, just like in most of them they're capping the cells at the top. So when I come in and I pick up a frame like this one, and it's built all the way to the bottom, and it's capped from top to bottom, then it's ready to harvest. And I'll take that frame out and I'll take it home and I'll take the honey out of it. And then, depending on the method that I use for harvesting the honey, I may be able to just bring that comb right back with just the openings scraped off, and they'll be able to easily start adding more nectar back into the same frame that I just harvested. And so that's where your honey harvest goes. Is you just take
How do you get all the bees off to harvest?
shake them, just shake them off, or you can brush them off with a bee brush.
A bee. So why do you have to put them so close together? Why
Because
can't you close it with them like that?
because they would then start building comb all in between here. They'd build it attached to this, hanging down in here. It just gets to be a horrible mess.
So are you basically trapping a certain amount of them in an area?
Yeah.
But then how do
But they get
in and
out. They can get out. These on the side. Look at the end.
I'll show you in just a minute. Let me get these sealed up,
Okay.
and then we'll.
They can come around.
So the openings that you see there are actually closed. Get this.
Is your fire out?
The point of a smoker is to restrict airflow, and so it's often the case that the airflow is restricted enough so that if you
No, don't. Just.
don't panic, your gear will protect you.
And if they land on you, don't swat.
Okay.
The most important thing I think about beekeeping is to be able to trust your equipment. All right, let me go put some more fuel in this.
We've conveniently provided him with fodder for his smoker.
Well, I try to do a lot of native plants, but my garden really pack it in.
There we go. So now we can use the smoke to get the bees out from between the frames.
Yeah, it's okay. Just don't buzz me. Scott, I may need to walk away.
So you were asking about the entrances. You'll notice that there's a gap on the side of the comb of the frames. So they can go around the frames. So they can walk on the wall all the way over to the holes. Here's one hole that can be used as an entrance and another one down there. That's why we're working the smoke.
Would you come smoke me? This guy's real just hanging in my face and at my ear.
All right, I think
Thank you.
transferred to me.
That's your daddy. Leave him alone.
Stop messing around out there. Go in there and work.
Yeah, but there's
Once we get the brood areas covered, they're less and less inclined to fly out in defense.
Yeah. You lessen their anxiety.
All right. So now we just take these 2 additional frames. Set them down like that. And then we replace the divider board. Put in more of our small hive beetles if we can.
Oh yeah, you had a victim there.
And then we put this down, and notice that we've got these standoffs to let the bees go underneath. And so when they need some relief from the heat, they'll often come into here instead of elsewhere. Now, I've still got some fugitive small hive beetles to kill.
You don't need to put any water in there or anything?
Nope, they go collect their own water. Oh boy. Well, I'm not sure that actually, I looked under the mint cluster and there were probably 10 of them under there.
So it's attracting the beetles?
Apparently.
Maybe when they've inhaled enough, then they go chunk.
Well, and to be fair, what most people have been experimenting with was peppermint candies, different type of mint, and a candy form rather than leaves. So this may not do me any good.
Well, there's no sweet probably in the leaves.
Right.
What if you planted peppermint plant along the bottom of the hive? Would that keep the
I have no idea.
whatchamacallits away?
Something to be curious about for sure. Oh, I need to put this back in there. I like
It
to
just
always
lived there?
leave this
Yeah.
hive tool with the hive because beekeepers are notorious for misplacing their hive tools. So I've got a couple of spares. I've got here in Hutto, each hive that I work with has its own hive tool. Out in Cameron, I just have one to share throughout the apiary.
How do you know when to open them all up?
I don't. I don't open them all up.
There need to be more than one?
Only if I have more than one colony. So you can use that divider board to actually keep 2 separate colonies in this box. And I did that for a while in the spring. And then I took...
How do you tell between the colonies?
They each have their own queen. They each are building out separately. They each have their own entrance. So at that time, I had that far entrance
And they won't
open.
fight?
No, because they can't get to each other.
Oh.
They're
You
separated by the
you
divider
divide
board.
it in a way that they can't go under the board?
Yeah. Yeah, that's why I only have those elevated feet on one end of the board. So you flip it over and now you can completely isolate the 2 colonies. That's what the entrance looks like. You can come and go freely.
I'm going to click this off.
Yeah.